Good morning, investor and corporate. Welcome to SET Digital Roadshow Quarter 3 2021 Performance Review. This session will run about 45 minutes, including Q&A. Company will start the session by 30 minutes presentation, followed by 15 minutes Q&A. During Q&A, investor may leave your questions in the meeting room chat box or use your raise hand function. Then we will open your microphone so you can ask the question to the company directly. May I now invite KRUNGTHAI Card Public Company Limited to start the presentation, please.
Okay, thank you very much. We're gonna share the presentation now. Okay, we're talking about the performance of the 9 months, 2021. As you know that some of you might not talk to us before, so we capture on the story a little bit. We incorporated in 1996 and listed in the stock exchange in 2002. Before that, we just one of the department part of the KTB. And in 2002, when we listed in the stock exchange, KTB diluted their share from 100% to 49%. And they're holding us 49% since then. Currently, we are a leading company in consumer finance. We expand our business from the non-collateral credit card and personal loan. Currently, we expanded to collateral business. We talk about that later on in our presentation. KTB still hold us 49% as you've seen from the holding structure. And as I mentioned before that we expand the business, we do have the Pico Finance and Nano. We also do have prepaid and the KRUNGTHAI Advisory. Those of them we collaborate with, it's a joint venture between KTB and KTC to holding those companies. The last that's acquired is the KTBL or KRUNGTHAI Bank Leasing Company. We hold it 75% and KTB holding 24.95%. That's the latest one. The deal is just complete this year and we're gonna pay the last amount is in this month. We talk more about that later on because it's gonna be one of the flagship in the future. On the shareholder structure, you can see that KTB is 49%, and then the rest of the name there are individuals, foreign fund, Thai fund. And some of the individual names you see here is they are silent shareholder. They not sit on the board or require the board of director seat or anything. For example, number 2 and number 4 holding us in 2012, so it's quite a very long-term investor. And we do have 8 members of the board of directors, and KTB sent 2 of their representatives to sit on the board of directors. The rest is mainly is a lot of independent directors. We have 4 members, which is like half is the independent director. So that's kind of like the story of us. And on the business part, you see that we acquired KTBL this year. So the portfolio of the listing is only like 3.8% compared to the rest of the business is credit card mainly and personal loan. Credit card is about like 62% and personal loan is about like 33% of the receivables that we have. There are different rules and regulations on each business. For example, credit card, their interest rate that we can charge our customer max at 16%. It used to be 18 and then dropped to 16% on the 1st of August 2020. So this year is just complete the full loop of the 16%. But when you compare the beginning of the year, you're gonna see that the interest that we can charge from January to until the end of July for the year 2020 is 18. And this year is only like 16%. So it's the different in terms of the interest income. And for personal loan as well, it used to be 28% and dropped to 25%. So it's like 3% difference. And that's on the 1st of August 2020 again. The auto title loan, we can charge maximum at 24%. That's kind of like the rules for the license that we are operating right now. other license that we have is nano, prepaid, high purchase, and financial lease. And the summary of the performance that we just released on the 9 months, the total portfolio increased about 3.2%. Actually, if you look into the credit card and personal loan, it's quite level. But since we just add the KTBL to the portfolio, so it's jumped up to the 3.2%. Credit card spending is minus 1.6%. This year, at the beginning of the year, we thought it's going to be better and it's going to come back to the 2019, and then the COVID hit again, and actually it's hit harder than the year 2020. So it's reporting in less of the spending and the business, so it's minus 1.6%. We managed the cost of fund to be about like 2.6%. It's lower than last year, 2.7%. And the NPL is about 3.8%. It's quite level on the credit card and personal loan, even though it's under the pandemic, we still can control on the portfolio quality. If you see the number, you're going to see that it's quite level, especially on credit card. And the net profit growth is 15.4%. We reported 4.6 billion in terms of the net profit. And this one, in the next couple slides, we're going to talk about the financial statement. On the revenue part, you can see that it's dropped about like 3.4%, as I mentioned before. That the interest rate that we can charge our customer is different from the January to the end of July. So that reflects in the less in terms of the interest income. And it's dropped about like 5%. The fee income also dropped because of the less of the activity during the pandemic. And however, if you look into the recovery, you're going to see that it's growing nearly like 6%. So we still managed to gather the recover from the bad debt that we have. On the expense part, we managed to lower the expense 12%. The operating cost increased a little bit, but the expected credit loss is dropped about like 28%. Because the portfolio quality that's been controlled throughout the year for like the past 10 years, that's really paid off on the quality of the portfolio and require less of the provision. And on the balance sheet side, you can see that we have the debt to equity is only like 2.2, it's quite low. Under the covenant on all the bonds that we issue, the ratio not more than 10 times. So we can increase the portfolio without having to tap to the new equity. The funding part that we have mainly is the long term. Why we do have the 80% of the long term, that's because we want to stabilize the cost of fund. We cannot do anything with the interest rate. It depends on the regulators, right? They set up the maximum rate that we can charge our customer. So we have to control on the funding part. And we have about 80% fixed rate bond that we issue to the public, to the asset management, you name it. We have the rating of AA minus by Trace. So that's quite nice in terms of we can demand in terms of the interest that we can do when we want to issue the bond. And you can see on the cost of funding, that's only like 2.6. We do have credit line of about like overall, it's about like 27 billion from various banks. KTBS is one of the major one that give us the credit line of 18 billion. And we use it on and off as a cash management during the month. Currently it's only like 8% of the borrowing that we borrow from KTB. The duration of the long term that we issued average is about like nearly 4 years. We have 2 years to 10 years bond, as you see on the maturity profile in the presentation. And this one is the financial ratio. I want to point out a couple of things. if you look into the financial statement that we reported and then you try to calculate the number, there are a couple of numbers that are going to be different. Whatever related to interest income, the number is not going to show the same because we are non-bank. So by law, we can book the interest income in terms of accounting only like 15%. So whatever higher than 15%, for example, credit card is 16, and personal loan we can charge 25. Whatever higher than 15% is go under credit usage fee and book into the fee income in the financial statement. So the fee income in the financial statement is higher than it's supposed to be, and the interest income is lower than it should be. So you got to read the MD&A, which we release every quarter along with the financial statement. And in the MD&A, we're gonna separate the real interest, pure interest, and the pure fee. And you're gonna come up with the same numbers as showing here. For example, the average interest received, we're gonna put on like including credit usage because that actually the interest, right? So it's like 15.4%. And the net interest margin is also say that including credit usage, and it's 12.7%. Another thing I want to point out here is the difference between cost to income ratio and the operating cost to income ratio. On the operating cost, is like the name said, is the pure operating. So it's not vary that much, is between like 25 to 27%. On the cost to income ratio, and actually it's very small because it depends on the marketing campaign expense that we want to put in. So it used to be higher than this, but during those 2 years of the pandemic, the marketing expense is not that high. So the cost to income is quite level at 33%. And another thing is the allowance for the expected credit loss. You can see that it's 10.4% if the consolidated, but for the KTC, it's only like 8.7. It's not very that much. Another thing is to point out is the NPL coverage ratio. You're gonna see big number that different. On the consolidated, it's only like 274%, but for the KTC alone is about like 400%. We used to be in the 400% level. So if you look into KTC part, you're gonna see the number is not that much different. Dividend payout, we pay at least 40% of the net profit of KTC, and usually is roughly around 41-42% of the payout ratio. And now go to the portfolio that we have. As I mentioned, we are the credit card and personal loan business that majority of the portfolio. The market share that we have on credit card, BOT collect the 4 numbers. Actually, is the number of card, the receivables, spending, and the NPL from all players, and it's posted in the BOT website every month. So we know our market share, but we don't know the ranking. On the market share number of card, we have 10.2%. But if you look into the spending, we have the spending of about 12%. So it means that customers spend more on our card, and you're gonna see on the growth later on that is quite a little bit higher than the industry average. And on the portfolio is 13.5% market share that we have. Personal loan is still quite small. We have the 4.5% market share on personal loan. On the credit card, KTB is one of the channel that bring in application to us. On the acquisition channel, you can see that the KTB and the direct sale and telesale, that's the majority of the group that bring in application to us. But the approval process, everything is in-house, is approved by us. We pay them commission upon approval. So if they bring in application, didn't get approved, they get nothing. So it's about 35% that KTB bringing in. Majority is still the direct sale and telesale. And the spending, you can say that we have the growth on the spending in line with the industry. Industry is about like minus 1.5 and KTC is minus 1.6%. On the quality of the portfolio, you see that on the NPL part, we recorded 1.5% on credit card portfolio, and industry is about 2.3%. The highest one is a commercial bank of the 2.5%. On personal loan, the number is quite level with the industry. We have the NPL of 3.2%. Industry is about 3.1%. Acquisition is quite the same as credit cards. KTB bring in about 40%, and then 54% by the direct sale and telesale. And on the sustainability part, we get a lot of questions on this one. We are on the MSCI, and then we are rated by TRIS of the AA-. We have the excellence in terms of the CG, 5-star, 6 years in a row. We on the ESG 100 and TSSI, and we also got invited into the DJSI instead. This year is the first year, and we're quite proud of that one. And we still not only try to deliver the super performance, we invested ESG in terms of doing our business as well. And this one is the target that we give out for the next year, 2022. We believe that our profit gonna be higher than this year for sure. And the spending should go up to the level of 2019, which is up about 10%. The portfolio on personal loan, we want to increase 7% because it's dropped for during these 2 years. The personal loan dropped a little bit in terms of the receivables. We want to increase on that one, so it's higher 7%. And the name people, car loan, and the high purchase you see here is all car title deed loan and the high purchase and leasing. So we want to target it is 2,500 million in terms of the new business that coming in. The car loan should be about like 1.5 billion, and the high purchase and leasing, which is booked under KTBL, should be about like 1 billion. That's our target. And the portfolio quality is still our main priority. So we try to maintain the NPL of each business same level as the 2021. Then it's come to the last page. This one is a special issue, since you know that we just acquired KTBL or KRUNGTHAI Bank Leasing. The KTBL that we acquired, the deal after doing the due diligence and evaluation of the portfolio, the deal comes to a conclusion this month. And then to reflect the portfolio that we evaluate, KTBL will set up provision. It's just the one-time provision. In this one is for illustration only, so it's just the example. The number that we put into the example is like KTBL will put on provision of 550. So what we trying to say is that when is the impact on the ECL that you put on the 550 is impact the net income. So the net income on KTC consolidated gonna be like, for example, is minus 440. So the income on reported on KTC separate gonna be higher than the consolidated, which is quite different. Usually the consolidated gonna be higher. This one is gonna be one time only. And since the deal conclude this month, so we not gonna surprise our investor. We gonna talk to you more about this one. So the consolidated income gonna be lower, and also the profit on the attribute to owner gonna be lower in terms of KTC consolidated, gonna be lower than KTC separate as well. So that's the effect on the ECL that we put on the KTBL. after we evaluate the portfolio. So that's kind of wrap up for the presentation.
So the session has come to an end. Thank you very much, investor and corporate for joining the conference. We look forward to welcome you all again in the next quarter. Thank you very much and have a good day ค่ะ ขอบคุณนะคะ
Thank you